Welcome back to the Super Duper Pooper Natural Podcast.
You stole
You're
Pooper
the
Natural!
Deanmon.
Ah! Okay, Season 10, Episode 2, Reichenbach. Whatever the fuck that means. Orville Reichenbacher. So.
Starring Tara Pratt as lookalike of Hannah.
Oh, were you looking that up?
Yeah.
Okay, explain who this lookalike is.
She was... Who was she? She just an auto shop person that they stayed at her place for some reason.
I thought she was driving the truck and she took them in
Oh,
the semi. Yeah, she was like the prettiest truck driver I've ever seen on television. Like even their truck drivers have to be like supermodels.
Well, so she was driving a truck, but her little girl was home alone.
I guess. I didn't really catch that. Maybe we were talking over when they explained why she let two strangers stay at her house alone with her little girl. Maybe it's because
Well,
Hannah
it's
looked.
she trusted Hannah. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, is that me?
yeah.
I should be home right now. Come on with me.
When we saw this truck driver, like she looked exactly like the actress who played Hannah, except there's like she has her hair in a ponytail, but it looks like the same actress.
Yeah.
And they're sitting side by side in one scene, and they just look the same.
Here's me with my hair like this, and here's me with my hair a different way right
Yeah.
beside me.
When they first showed that truck driver, I thought that she had just they'd stolen a truck and then she stole like the driver's clothes and they were driving like to get after they crashed the car.
Yeah.
So their deal this episode, they are
Doing nothing.
no, they go to heaven. They go to the three cells in heaven to visit
Yeah.
Metatron.
Three cell jail in heaven.
The three cells
Glorious heavenly jail.
and Metatron
No, we
is
got two more prisoners. We never counted on this.
yeah, and Metatron is in a heavenly straitjacket because that's how they're gonna keep him in jail. And
Like, is it powered up or something, or is it really just a straight jacket?
he's
Like,
talking about how he's gonna escape, and he's like, "Oh, it may take me a millennia or two." I think he's overshooting it a bit because it doesn't look that sturdy. I think
Yeah,
it's probably pretty easily escapable.
well, it's that jail they already blew up before.
Yeah, it just seems like a regular jail, except in heaven.
And like, I don't know what the security's like though, but I mean, Castiel and Hannah can go in there no problem. Like, we didn't see any security around the one room that they ever show when they're in heaven
Yeah.
jail. But you'd think maybe a follower of Metatron could come in, do that angel blow up stabby thing, and get him out of jail.
Yeah, yeah, he had some followers that get him out. I guess they're planning something because they wouldn't have the actor back if they weren't, I would think.
Yeah.
Which I don't care. I
No.
don't care about Metatron. Because he wasn't. We talked about this last season, but the thing with Metatron is they couldn't decide if they wanted him to be like hammy comical villain or threatening, so he didn't really come off as either.
And he got taken down by your recordings.
And once you pull that, like, you can't really go back from that.
Mhm.
You can't really go back and say, like, he's threatening all of a sudden.
Well, you never saw a very impressive force with him, I guess, either.
No, because they didn't dedicate the time that they needed to it, because they were splitting it between him and Abaddon.
Yeah. And they didn't do anything with Abaddon. They made her look like a bigger joke than they did him.
Yeah, well, they had that thing where she was converting souls into demons that they didn't do anything with.
No.
Like, they set it up like, oh no, big deal, and never talked about again.
That was the biggest thing she had done. Like, we hadn't seen her in forever, and then it's like something she had done in the past. It's like, why is it the first time we're seeing this new leader of hell? It's a flashback episode.
Yeah. So, we were talking about before the thing with Metatron and being in the three jail cells in heaven. The turnaround with Hannah's character is all of a sudden just like she's like, oh, before I was willing to just do what anyone says, but now because Castiel was nice with the trucker's kid, I
Yeah.
am willing to let Metatron go to get his grace back.
He indulged snot dreams, so let's let Booger out of jail. There's a connection.
Yeah, like they're trying to very quickly make this connection that is not there at all because Hannah is not a
He
fleshed
just
out
needs
character.
snot dreams and Booger.
Hey, there's the connection. See?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. The joke was over my head. It was too clever for me. But yeah, I mean, like
Yeah, like
her
she has.
character's not fleshed out enough to care about this yet, or to believe that she would be willing to just let Metatron go to help Castiel.
Yeah, they killed off all these ones that apparently have known him before, or any
Hmm.
that they built up before. So it's always just like, yeah, all right. Well, we got a new one from last part of last season. She's really into Castiel now because she
I
saw
guess.
herself and it turned her on.
Yeah, apparently. Well, and what have they done together since since this season started? They killed a couple angels.
you know, that really makes you close to someone once you kill together. So,
They already like, no believability there at all. So
bunch of heavenly crumbs.
yeah, heavenly crumbs. He had some heavenly dreams, did some heavenly farts, ate some heavenly crumbs, went to heavenly jail to visit heavenly Metatron. So they explained who Champies was. He is not a hunter,
Yeah,
as you
he's not a
suspected.
hunter, so he's more useless than I thought he was. Because then we have to go through him learning this stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't mind that he's not a hunter, but I don't care about his character because he is just like a
Yeah, he's,
torture, mean, generic white
yeah,
guy like
he's
everyone.
Sam and Dean right now. There's no difference except
Yeah.
he doesn't know.
Because if he was someone who had some morals to him, even if he didn't know about monsters, I would be fine with that as long as it was something different.
Hmm.
But I guess they can't really make him with morals because they once they give his backstory, he's kind of got to get rid of his morals to do what he's doing.
I guess. He really was slow on this, I guess.
Well, he was training his whole life for this. He couldn't catch the guy who was previously known to the police for being a serial killer, mass murderer, grave robber, that the police forgot about as well. So it was really hard. He could have gotten him when
Well,
they had.
the police are confused. Like, do we want to get this guy or is he legit FBI? Well, I don't know. He came in with an FBI badge, and we're like, well, this is the guy we said you're not really FBI to like 50 times before, but now he's got no backup to support this story. So obviously he is FBI. Let him in.
Well, the police got dumber in this episode. Sam goes up to a policewoman, or a guy at a club, not a policewoman, but a guy at a club, and he's
Yeah,
like,
he's
"Yeah,
just like a
FBI."
bouncer.
Yeah, he's talking to the bouncer, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm FBI, whatever." And then he's like, "Give me a call if you see this guy." Okay, and then he proceeds to right in front of him get into a dirty old red pickup truck. Like, ooh, that seems really official
FBI
FBI.
issue. Right. Yep.
Like they're not even trying anymore. It used to be like they would get caught all the time, and now for plot convenience, they can do anything, and it will not
Yeah,
be questioned.
it's so weird in the show because yeah, there's just a certain point where that almost never worked, and then bam, now it always works. No
Yeah.
real reason behind it. In fact, there's less reason it should work nowadays than
Mm-hmm.
then.
Yeah. Well, in last episode, they had that bit where Sam's looking at the security footage with the. Was he just a security guy or a policeman?
I think there's the police, yeah.
Yeah. So he's talking to the police guy, and he just says like, "Here's the suspect," and yet the police don't recognize again serial killer mass murderer Dean Winchester, who
And
previously they have
that
not
and
caught.
his associate who is currently in
Yeah,
your office as the FBI
yeah,
agent.
yeah. Apparently, this is just they don't remember anymore. It
Mm,
blew over.
wasn't really worth remembering.
Yeah. So Champy's backstory, they did explain it. What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
his dad was murdered by Dean, supposedly. It'll probably turn out to be like, oh, well, Dean killed the monster that killed his dad. But, I mean, even if they do it that way, it's like, well, they really aren't innocent anyway, because they've killed how many people
Mm-hmm.
because they've been, possessed or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple other ways they could do it if Dean actually did kill that guy and not
Because he was
wrong place, wrong
possessed,
time.
they could go that
Yeah.
way.
It could be he was possessed or he was a monster. And if they go the monster route, maybe Champies can find out he is a monster too or something, do something with that. Or he's possessed, but if they go that route, see when he saw Dean supposedly kill his dad, that was 2003, so that was just before the series started. That was like before he got Sam from Stanford.
Mm.
So if that happened, Dean wouldn't know about demons yet. They didn't know demons existed back then. So, and it'd be a little bit of stupid retconning if they did that, honestly. But I think maybe they will, which is worse.
I guess
But
could be possessed by something else.
mm-hmm. Of course, they make this big deal out of like killing people, but then they don't. Like when they're possessed by demons, it doesn't matter. Or like they had that Krakatoa episode, Croatoan, whatever the episode in season 2 where they explain what happened to that missing colony. And it was like a demon virus, and it
Mm.
made everyone really angry. And then like they just shoot people like in the face in that episode. That was really early on. They were just like, oh well, they had a disease. We're not gonna try and cure them. Never acknowledged they just shot people in the face. Except when Sam was possessed, and then Dean's like, not gonna do it. And it's not like, I mean, I kind of wish that they did, that the Champy's dad was killed wrongly, because then they've done it so many times where they do kill people wrongly that it would kind of mean more than like, oh, wrong place, wrong time. Like, they had that friend of Sam's the woman who was a monster. She was a creature of some sort. I forget what she was, but then Dean,
And it was annoying.
yeah, then Dean comes back and kills her in the end.
Yeah, and what?
And then
But
her kid saw that. So if
yeah,
it was a similar kind of situation, I realize that kid's like a little young right now for them to do this kind of storyline, but Dean never really got his comeuppance for that.
no, that went nowhere. There was no good point to it in the end.
But Sam did find out about it, right?
Yeah, he did, but
Yeah.
it didn't really do much of anything.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the show doesn't want to break up the dynamic most of the time, which is partly what this episode tonight was about again.
Yeah.
Trying to slowly get back to status quo.
But I will say this, I enjoyed parts of this episode.
Ugh.
Parts of it. I didn't think it was good because it's still in the crapper right now, but there were parts that I enjoyed. Like I like Demon Dean, the Deanmon. Like I liked his cocky attitude. He's like Smirks McGee right now. His acting is smirky smirk. Um,
You just missed Dean who could smile.
yeah, that's the thing. He's so much more likable than regular Dean.
Yeah.
I don't want him to get cured right now, and like,
I don't want him to go back into Batman.
yeah. Well, they still did.
So
Yeah, yeah. But I liked those bits, and I liked when his scenes with Crowley because they were like legitimately breaking up. Like they were just
Yeah.
acting like they were a couple, and then they're never ever getting back together.
Drowley, OTP.
Yeah. and, and then with Crowley at the bar, when he's looking at the picture of him and Dean in cowboy hats.
Yeah, that was the best part of the episode, but it also pissed me off because, like, why didn't we have this in episodes where they were doing that kind of
Yeah.
dumb shit?
Why didn't we
Yeah,
see their coupledom before we saw them break up? I would
yeah,
have
like
loved to see the couple together. They're a
to
power
have done
couple.
this storyline where Dean and Crowley have teamed up. It's really insulting to end it in one episode.
I
Like
have a feeling
you've
it's
only
not
given
done.
it one episode, and then by the second one, you're ending it.
I have a feeling it's not done. I don't think it's. I think there's more to it because Crowley always has something sneaky he's
I
planning. So I don't
guess,
think
but
he's.
I would have liked to have seen the story of what they were doing after Dean turns into this Deanmon thing,
Yeah.
rather than just going back to, hey, let's be with Sam.
Yeah.
Because Sam has nothing else to do because fuck no, he's not gonna team up with Castiel. I mean, was it? I'm sure it was a surprise to only people who had never seen the show before that Castiel crashed before getting to the main plot.
Yeah, they're teasing you that something interesting might happen, and then they take it
Cass, you
away.
gotta get over here. I don't think so.
Maybe you should have driven.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I mean,
trust the driving to the guy dying from grace deprivation.
well, Hannah is really stupid, you see. So, well, the Crowley thing, I did like that when Dean was threatening him, he stepped back because he was scared he was going to get him with the blade, the first blade, and his plan, breaking up with him and then getting Sam to give him the blade, was to get that out of the way. So I think now he's going to try and control Dean because he has that card to play. And I don't think he's going to get rid of it. I think he's going to use it as a card against him, so he'll do what he wants. And so I don't think that's ended, but I don't know if it'll be anything interesting. I think it'll be a lot more aggression rather than it would have been better to see them as a team and lighten the mood a bit with the demon antics.
Yeah, anything would be better than mopiness.
Mhm.
Like when Sam and Dean get together by the end of this episode, I'm just picturing that they'll drive right to the bunker and they'll
Oh,
be sitting
definitely.
around there moping and be like, all right, well, this is like exactly season 9. Just draw some chains around Dean and you change it to season 10, and there's your difference.
Hmm. I think Dean will smirk a lot and talk about how he's evil.
Yeah.
I think, and they'll drag that out for an episode or so.
You're gonna pay, Sammy. No, Dean.
Yeah, they had the second torture scene of the season in the second episode where Champies tortures Sam with a hammer.
Yeah. It's like, what? Why do you care? Do you care about Champies? Not really. Do you care that Sam's getting tortured? Not really. He started off the other episode by torturing a woman.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Sam and Dean are so unsympathetic right now, and the reason that it works better with Dean is because as a demon, they're not trying to make you feel sympathetic for him. And that's why it's more interesting to me, because like with Sam, it's like, what bullshit, we don't care. Why should we be rooting for him? We shouldn't. He's
It's like you're
terrible.
talking about with the character Gordon who used to be in the show.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah. No, I brought this up before. The Gordon thing. Okay, when they had Gordon in the early seasons, up to till 3, I think, maybe 4. Um, they brought him in. He was the hunter who he would do anything to get what he wanted, and monsters were just monsters, and he was going to do anything to kill them. And his methods were in question because he was just so dark. And I was annoyed by that character initially. I hated it because he just kept coming back and it was really repetitious.
Gordon
And
Natural.
yeah, Gordon Natural. Any of the characters I hated then, I miss now. Because they were so much better. Like Bella, I hated Bella until after, and I'm like, I miss her because she was better than this.
Mhm.
But anyway, I realized that Sam and Dean, at least up until last season, and Sam still now, they are Gordon. They're just that character, except they're not called into question their morals or their methods or anything like that. It's just that's just what they do.
I'd say if they still had Gordon alive, they could have him show up and it'd be a mirror to Sam and Dean and of what they've become. But they did that with the Ghost Facers and it didn't really work. So
Ah,
point
well,
to that.
the Ghostfacers one was one of the most annoying ones they did last season. Like such lost potential.
There's they ruined it. Like that those used to be hilarious. And it's just like, hey, let's do the Ghost Facers again. You know what? They're angry at each other because of secrets. Get it, Sam and Dean? Kind of like us, huh, Dean?
Well, it had all the finesse of a punch to the face because
Yeah,
it was
just
like
kept slapping us like, fucking get it,
well,
get it, get it, get it. It's like them, get it.
because they had no idea how to do a parallel, and then to top it all off, it was just exactly the last episode, but with the Ghost Facers, but they didn't do anything different with it.
No, it was insulting. It really was. And for the episode to act like you still might not have been getting it when they kept doing the see kind of moments, like
Yeah.
that's what Sam and Dean are doing. Like, we knew already. We knew this like 10 minutes into the episode when he kept bashing us over the head with it.
Well, and some of the dialogue was verbatim the same from Sam and Dean's monologues. The
Uh-huh.
same. And I was saying when we watched it, like it should have been a clever way to do that would have been if the Ghost Facers were having their own adventure, um, that parallels this, but do it comedically, and have that either going on like in the background of an episode, or Sam and Dean are in the background, or something like that, where it's kind of doing the same thing with Sam and Dean, but in a comedic fashion, and that way it's different. They're not just doing the same thing because there was nothing compelling about that. And the Slender Man thing was really lame. Like it wasn't funny.
Yeah, I forgot what the episode was even about.
Yeah, it was their Slender Man, the Thin Man, and it was the guy who dressed up. They dressed up and pretended to be the
Mm-hmm.
Thin Man, the two guys. Anyway, what else happened in the episode this week?
Did anything else happen?
Hmm. Champies showed up in a library bleeding, and then a woman stared at him, and then he's like, "Give me all your books on demons."
Yeah. Now he believes in demons because he got beat up one by one. So
Yeah, well, he's
I
gonna.
still don't understand what Crowley's deal is with not wanting Dean to turn into a full demon.
I think it was confusing me too. Again, the dialogue. Like he mentioned something about Daddy taking the black eyes away. Was he talking about like is that what he's holding against Deanmon? Like he's gonna take the demon part away?
I don't know because like you was saying before, it sounded like he needs to kill to keep from going full demon.
I guess.
So I mean, and that's what he keeps holding over him is getting to kill with the blade.
Yeah. Oh, they had the scene with Crowley and the demon accountant, who was really boring him, where he's talking about like our demon conversion rate could go this percent higher if we just did this. What a, what a terrible role if that's what like you become a demon and then that's what you get to do, be an accountant for him.
Mm-hmm.
They had the subplot with Crowley hiring Dean to kill the woman. That
Right.
that guy made the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't. I kind of like that Dean killed the guy instead. Like they had the guy, he was being creepy and an asshole, and then Dean killed him. Not that
Yeah.
the fact that he killed a person, it's still a person, but
Well, no, I mean, yeah, gonna do an evil version of the character, but he's still kind of good. That's
yeah,
the way to do it. Is something like that. So that worked well.
yeah. I mean, like the woman wasn't really innocent either, but
No, but the guy was a piece of shit.
He was, yeah. So that was something interesting with it. So I don't think it was all a loss. It was certainly better than the opener, I thought. Because
Hmm.
Dean wasn't just hanging out in a bar for. This was 6 months. I remember now. It was 6 months that he was hanging out in that bar. 6 months. This is what they do.
Yeah. If he's just hanging out in that single bar, I guess he was really hard to track down for Champies. This guy's the worst, and Sam's apparently terrible at his job too. If he got tracked down by this guy when he went to go find Dean,
Hmm.
because he followed Sam to Dean. It's like Sam's been doing this how long, and he hasn't noticed how to see if there's a tail on him. Fucking terrible.
I wish.
Years at this, at least, Sam.
Well, their whole life, technically.
Yeah.
Because, well, he took the break for Stanford, but otherwise they were raised as hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So what, they're 30 somethings now?
Yeah.
It took you 3 decades, still can't get it? I wish Bobby was around to just smack them.
Yeah, there's just
You know what was good about
he's been
Bobby?
saying something since he died.
Yeah. You know what was good about Bobby? Not only that it would lighten the mood, but he was someone to hold them accountable for things, and they don't have that anymore.
Nope. Just run off, be idiots, torture forever. Yeah, they don't have anyone that they feel they need to explain things to later. It's like, oh man, I don't want Bobby to find out that I did this. And it's just like, torture everyone to get our information.
Yeah. It seems like once they lost that, they kind of lost any reason to want to have morals. And that's a really huge flaw in your characters if they have to have someone to hold them accountable
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
rather than having those morals themselves.
They just keep doing backwards development with the two of them.
Hmm.
Like I mentioned the other time about Dean constantly forgetting that not all monsters are evil, and then
Hmm.
he'll still want to kill ones that aren't.
My hope for this demon storyline, whenever they turn him back to normal, it doesn't have to be soon, but whenever they do that, I hope that that will be the final reasoning for Dean to realize that it's not just black and white.
Hmm.
Because I think they have hints of he's not completely gone right now, though he is pretty reprehensible.
Imagine if when Sam finally found Dean in there, he just kicks the door in. Dean, what do you think you're doing?
Oh my gosh! If the next episode was like, the Deanmon tells stories, but they're wrong. But this is from his point of view. They just do comical retellings of things that happened. Dean, that's not funny. It's not how it went.
We don't have any time for your blah 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 blah
Blah
blah
blah
blah blah
blah.
blah.
Yeah, you notice like his version of Dean and that story is kind of the Deanman now.
Back when it was earlier on the show, they would just heard of two hunters. They're going around like just torturing everything to get their information. Well, we gotta stop them.
Yeah.
Oh, surprise! It's you two from the future.
That would be
Uh,
quite a surprise. You know, you know what the flaw with Champies is? It's what we were talking about the last podcast. In that, um, it's not just his character that's not interesting. It's the fact that the stuff he does would be more meaningful if Sam and Dean weren't exactly like that every episode. Like if Sam and Dean still were like they used to be and they had some sort of morals and Champies did everything he did now, I would find him more imposing.
yeah, just someone needs to have morals again. Like not
Hmm.
even the angels have morals. It's like the fuck has morals on this show?
Well, it's just like what reprehensible person is going to get the upper hand this week?
I guess Crowley's the nicest one because he's sad about cowboy hats.
That was amazing. And like not only was it hilarious, but it's also kind of like give no fucks, let's just do whatever. Like he was the king of hell. I guess he is now again cuz Abaddon's gone. He's the
Yeah.
king of hell and they're doing that and the king of hell is more likable than our two leads.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to have these comical supporting characters so that even when Sam and Dean were at their darkest, you would have supporting characters that could kind of lighten the mood or to have a different perspective.
Yeah.
Someone that's not tied by family bonds to kind of their perspective of it. They had Ash, they had Ellen and Joe and Bobby. And they have Garth now, but Garth is just
it.
Inspector Data, yeah. Inspector Data was pretty douchebaggy. I don't know.
He would smile and leave, though.
That's true. I'm proud of you, sons. Oh, that meant something, I guess. Asshole.
Guess
Yeah.
he got knocked down from heaven. Wonder what happened to him. Oh well.
Well, he wouldn't. Just because you're dead doesn't make you an angel, though. He's not an angel.
Yeah. So we're.
The angels got kicked out of heaven, but what about all the souls that are in heaven? What happened to them?
Yeah. I don't know.
And I still don't get what heaven is. Because they have the jail cell heaven, they have random field in the middle of nowhere heaven, and they have heaven is whatever you want it to be heaven, where they saw Ash there and he was just hanging out in a bar.
Bright light by a window of
Yeah.
whatever room they're in that they look out and go, wow!
Yeah.
Heaven's so amazing outside this window. You should see this, guys. Make sure the camera doesn't see, though. Oh, yeah, just crowd around this window. Oh, so cool out there. Too bad we're stuck in this office building.
Well, yeah, they had clinical office heaven as well, which was like sterile looking. They had that too.
What's her name from Stargate?
Yeah, I already forgot her name, but that other angel, she was scarier than Metatron to me.
Mm-hmm.
What did they even end up doing with her? What was her thing? Like Metatron got rid of her?
Yeah, I think I forget how it happened now.
I'm trying to remember how her arc went. I don't think it was satisfying.
No.
I want to say like she.
Blanking on how she finally died.
Yeah. That was after the Leviathan plot, right?
So, it was more interesting because she wasn't clear cut on what she was doing.
Well, and
so
she
helped Bobby's soul get up to heaven and stuff.
Yeah, well, she thought she was doing what needed to be done. Like she wasn't just like "Mwahaha." Like
Right.
she was that. I think that's what made it more compelling because she wasn't just like a mwahaha. Like she could be reasoned with, but she wanted to do what she felt needed to be done, and she did some pretty terrible things to do it. But as opposed to Metatron, like they started that thing about how he was writing the story, and then it was almost a comic episode, a comical one, and then
Well, except for being mostly torture.
yeah, and then they just did that. Like they started it where it was like, okay, maybe it's going to be kind of like a villain that's humorous, I guess. Like they tried to play it up like they were like, oh, he's pretending to be sad sack because in actuality he's really dangerous, but they didn't do it enough for you to be like, oh yeah, he played sad sack, but they got you. Because they didn't. It just came out of nowhere in the one episode because he was like, oh, do I look good in this coat? Oh, I guess that means he was playing it all along. They didn't establish it through the whole season.
No, yeah, that was really weird to bother.
Yeah, and he didn't start doing all that stuff where he was like pretending to be a healer on Earth for very long either, enough to establish that, that was a threat.
Mm-hmm.
It just sort of seemed like last minute they put that in because they were like, well, I guess we need a conclusion.
Oh no. I'll be surprised if Sam and Dean get broken up again, but I guess we can hope.
Well,
I hate that the show always just seems to gravitate right back towards that so quick.
yeah.
Just because, it's like, oh, nice, something that has the two of them split up for a bit. Eh,
I don't know.
Like,
I would rather that than everyone doing separate things.
no, but I mean, you still have to pair them up with people. But it's like the thing we were saying before. It gets repetitive having just Sam and Dean have another secret to have conflict with each other because they're the only two that talk with each other, really.
Yeah.
It's the Sam and Dean show, and then other supporting characters show up and die around them.
Yeah.
Then Castiel calls from the phone and says, "Yeah, I'll be there soon. Sure hope this car doesn't crash." Meanwhile, it's on fire and behind him. Oh, I bet Castiel will be making it there really soon. Oh, I'm falling right into a hospital bed where I'll spend most of the episodes.
Oh my gosh! Like it's like they relish not giving you what you want as an audience. Like they're like, haha, imagine if that had happened, but this is what we're going to do.
So many better things that could be going on with this show, but no. It's just like the season where they had the Benny character. Like, I so wanted Dean and Benny to go off and do stuff on their own for a while, and leave Sam with Castiel or something.
Hmm.
Because I forget what they were fighting about at that point now, but they were, and they were making it look like that might happen, but it's like, nah, instead they'll just mope in the bunker together.
Yep, moping in the bunker. Well, and I wish too, uh, if they were gonna keep Dean split up from Sam, that they had Castiel and Sam together. They don't have to get along about everything. It could be that they have different ideas about what should be done about Dean. And it doesn't have to be like secrets and moping all the time, but that could be them deciding what is the right thing to do. And then that would give them something to do together. You don't need to have more angel plots. Maybe they could have the Grace thing too. Like they have to figure out the Grace and the Dean thing at the same time. So that gives them more than one. Like it's not one singular goal all the time. There's like layers to things that they need to do. Maybe even if you want to have Hannah be fleshed out, have her be a character with them. Heck, they could have like after the thing that happened with Metatron, she gets kicked out of heaven, and then she's got to figure out her place, and then she realizes the world's open up to her eyes, and then that's what appeals Castiel to her, like why she is drawn toward him. And then they have three characters to interact there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's exactly what they went to go complain to those angels that they killed one of in the previous episode. Because they were, saying, "Oh, we can live our lives a different way,
Mm-hmm.
more free, and do." And
I don't know why Castiel is again. Well, I guess because they did kill people. That's the thing. But like that, they should have had Hannah be more open to this idea because it still seems like she still like wants to have things the old way, the
mm-hmm.
boring, non-compelling way.
It's just they seriously need angels to develop from these monotone robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was not a good way to start with her, and she's just a dumb character to work with anyway.
Mm-hmm.
When she showed some personality when she was threatening Metatron, there are glimpses of this could be a more interesting character than it is, like if they let the actress do something with it. Because it's not the actress. It's not the actors in any of these, really. But it just... The angels are just so cardboardy.
Yeah.
Oh, they established that she doesn't get jokes, like Castiel.
She'll
She
have
needs
to
to...
pop jokes into her head.
Yeah, and then she'll be a
That's
fleshed out
Metatron.
character.
Metatron. All right, I'll give you like 10 minutes of fresh air if you pop culture into her head for me. That worth it to you, buddy?
Wow, it wasn't worth it. I fucked up, Sam.
Like, why does Sam not care that Castiel's dying?
Yeah, well, he just has such singular goals right now, and it's just like not layered or compelling. Like,
That's what.
again, if he had Castiel with him, he would have more concerns. And while he
Yeah,
was worried about Dean, there would
it's
be more
glad
things
that
going on.
thinking about more than one main objective.
Hmm. Well, and then when they had him being tortured by Champies, they had to write in that either purposefully or accidentally, Champies drops his keys that has a knife on it to get Sam out of there.
Mhm.
Otherwise, he just would have been fucked, and they have to come up with kind of convenient things to happen to move him forward. Whereas if he had Castiel with him or another character, then they would have ways for him to get out and people to interact with and different things to do.
Mhm.
Because I mean, other outside of the ending when he finally got to Dean and captured him, um, he didn't really do anything different this episode than he did last episode. And the way that he caught Dean was really lame too. He just throws some holy water in his face, psh, got him. After
Yeah,
he just like kicked Champy's ass,
yeah. If
which was
only he had a
funny.
bottle of holy water. Yeah.
It's over. I got handcuffs on you. I guess it is.
Oh, nothing I can do about handcuffs.
Well, and like Champy's got the upper hand with Sam, but then Dean beat up Champies, but then Sam beat up Dean.
Yeah. Well, Sam didn't really beat up Dean. He
Well, he got him.
surprised him, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
It should have been something a little more interesting with how he catches him. Like, maybe he's got to chase him for a while, and that's how
If he puts a pie with a net over it.
And then he removes the pie, and then there's a pentagram underneath. Oh
Oh!
no! Damn it, Sammy!
You know, the net is a pentagram. It's a pentagram net he drops.
Wait. He finds the pie, and then he realizes there's pies all around him in the shape of a pentagram.
A
Uh,
pentagram.
yeah, a pitagram.
Sarah!
Oh, well, it is blueberry.
That would have been amazing. Fuck the show for not doing that.
I would rather the show is comically bad than just unlikably shitty.
Well, if they just did something ridiculously silly like that, it would be pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, like,
Like,
the thing with Crowley, that's
know
why.
that mood the whole show. But if you did
Mhm.
something dumb with a pie, that's how Ham catches Dean. That'd be pretty funny.
Well, they used to do stuff like that all the time, and where it would be they catch you by surprise, and that's what was so great about the humor. Like they had their big fight at the end of season 5, the big apocalypse fight, and then all of a sudden Castiel is like, "Hey, ass butt,"
Yeah,
and it's so funny and so unexpected. It doesn't make the rest of it not serious,
yeah,
but it gave the show a good sense of humor that made it fun to watch.
hmm
And it made the meaningful things, it made it more meaningful, by surprising you with something funny when it's serious, or when something's funny surprising you with something serious, to make it more meaningful.
yeah.
And that's what it caught us by surprise with the Crowley thing at the end, when he's looking at the cowboy hat. Like, they haven't done something stupid like that in a while that was really funny.
hmm
I don't know if that was a fluke, but I hope they do more like that.
Yeah. Dean breaks away from Sam. He's like, "I'm sorry, Crowley. Let's go party."
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
Go party.
Piedogram.